Hello, and welcome to this series of tutorials intended for citizen scientist amateurs that show how to use satellite images to monitor changes in vegetation extent and condition. This introduction provides background information for the tutorials and a brief overview of each tutorial in the series. Before we get started, here are the other tutorials in this series. Check the description below for links to these tutorials. So what is the tutorial series about? As we know, climate change and human activities are altering the environment in which we live, and especially vegetation extent and condition. Any efforts to alter the course of these changes at either global or local levels should include the ability to monitor the changes. Satellite imagery has proven to be a useful tool for monitoring such changes. Satellite imagery is free and readily available to citizen scientists involved in climate change mitigation projects. The tutorials in this series are designed to help citizen scientist amateurs use satellite imagery to track changes in the extent and condition of vegetation land cover. These tutorials use three tools to monitor land cover extent and condition. We will be using satellite imagery produced by Landsat 8 and 9 satellites. These images are readily available to citizen scientists and are easier to work with compared to some other satellite systems. We will be using USGS Earth Explorer to access Landsat images. Other sources can be used, but again, this source is readily available to citizen scientists and easier to work with compared to some other sources. We will be processing the images with QGIS, a free and popular open source software offering a broad range of mapping and spatial analysis tools. Of these three tools, only QGIS requires specialized skills to use, and these tutorials assume that you have a rudimentary understanding of QGIS or related systems such as ArcGIS. That being said, we will be walking through the QGIS tools used in these tutorials in a step-by-step manner, so you don't need to be a QGIS power user to work through these tutorials. Assuming you are up to learning and using QGIS, here are the 7 tutorials in the series, each of which is about 5 to 10 minutes in length. You are at the introduction, so let's review the purpose of each of the remaining tutorials. In the next tutorial, we'll see how to download Landsat satellite images using Earth Explorer. Then we load the downloaded images into QGIS and then scale and correct the images for processing by the next tutorial. In the fourth tutorial, we calculate 3 vegetation indices that provide information about the condition of vegetation covered by our satellite images. We then use QGIS clustering algorithms to distinguish among various land cover types in a selected region of interest. We conclude the tutorial series by showing how to use the results of the preceding tutorial to estimate extent and condition of the land cover types in our region of interest. So with that quick overview, hopefully you are ready to dive in. Please note that this series of tutorials would not have been possible without the generous assistance of staff at the USGS Earth Resources Observation and Science Center. If you have questions on how to use Landsat data, contact their customer service. All Landsat data used here, courtesy of the U.S. Geological Survey. Thanks for watching this video. See the description below for links to all of the tutorials in this series.